He was very regular and so capable that in a junior year is, I think, when he finished the junior years, when they sent him up to Eccleston Air Force Base and let him fly in a fighter plane with the jet flyers there to see what it was like. And of course he got sick, up in the air. Well, but otherwise he kept his cool. They could see that he had all the aptitude. He made 99 on the aptitude test. 99 out of 100. So you know that must have been pretty good. He was just a natural pilot. And when they found out his memory was so good, he could remember the procedure from beginning to end of the trip in those great big C-141. They put him in that. He was disappointed. He wanted to be in a fighter plane. I'm glad he wasn't, because he got a lot of experience flying those big planes. They're a lot bigger than what he's flying now. But I don't think there's too much difference. And so, I don't know why, I just have a great admiration for all of them, because they did their best with what they had. Pat and Tom and Diane and Melinda. Melinda had a mental breakdown. I don't know what caused it, and the doctors really loaded her down with a bunch of terrible drugs, and for 20 years she was out of it. 20 years? No. It just seemed like that, because after she got the job in San Antonio, she was still disoriented. But she worked real well in that computer room. She didn't have any trouble in her job. She went in there in '83, and she'd been in there almost 20 years. And everybody in there has come and gone but her. The supervisor and everything. And the girls that worked there. Some of them were just dismissed, and some of them, of course, retired. And but she has been so good at it, and you can't help but admire somebody that hangs on like that when they've had a breakdown like that, down to zero, not know where they are, what they're doing, and then come out of it. But she had a Bible in her hand all the time. And she didn't make a whole lot of herself having it. So that was a sign that it really was something very important to her. But, it's just built in that a mother or a parent has a love for their children and see the best in them. Usually that's the best friend they have, is their mom. Because the father's busy making a living. And he doesn't have the feelings for the little details that Mama does. But it is a natural, God-given feeling to even the little tiny baby that's pink and all that sort of thing, is unbeautiful as they look. To them, they look beautiful. And that's hard to believe. But they love them from then on. Once in a while you'll see a parent that has a prejudice, but in our family, if somebody had been sick a lot, I would give them more attention. That's normal. And Tiny was a child that didn't have much immunity, or just fell across the germs the wrong time. I think she had hepatitis when she was 2, something like that, and lost her hair and stuff like that with high fever. And when they looked at a brain scan for Tiny in the later years, they said she had a lot of brain damage. But as far as being able to think clear and reason things out, I never thought Tiny was retarded. I didn't think so. She just knew too many angles. She was too busy doing things, and too many things that just I taught school and saw the different levels of mentality, all the way from the imbecile to the moron. Children that couldn't help themselves. And Tiny wasn't that. She was all right. She was shy. She found an advantage of Mama's protection. And that's why she stayed with Mama instead of going to school, college, or anything. She graduated from high school. She had beautiful handwriting, and she was very regular with everything she did. And she kept her house neat, straight. She wasn't. There was nothing lacking there. She didn't want to do. Now, a lot of times she would say, I can't, and she actually believed it. But she could on everybody in that school except Leroy Rummel and the cotton-top kid. And they would go out there and have foot racing. Everybody in school would go out there and watch them running down this road that was in that pasture, the clear road. And they'd get out there barefoot, and I mean, lickety-split down that thing, and they would run, man, like a jackrabbit. But nobody could outrun them. Tiny and that Leroy. But and his sister Bessie Mae was overweight. She'd go to the store. Her parents had a store with a bucket to get the lard in. Uncle George kept the lard in a big barrel, you know. Put it in the bucket. Said she'd eat almost all that lard before she got home. And she looked like it, too. She had one who went to a school reunion, and she said, I don't know why everybody's getting so old and ugly except me. She meant it. You know why she didn't have wrinkles? She was fat. You see fat people, they don't have wrinkles. Yes, she did. And she was one of Tiny's best friends, but Tiny would talk about it. And so that would point out the bad things that Bessie made. Then, and she'd call her Messy Day. Isn't that crazy what kids will do? Oh my, to make themselves feel good. Tiny never cared for the music. I don't think she ever played a note on piano. She couldn't carry a tune either. She couldn't sing. She was kind of tone deaf or monotone or something. But Sam was tone deaf, and I think he finally learned to listen to what he was doing, you know, and listen to the music and put them together. And he got to where he could sing pretty good. He had a good voice. Very good, and they wanted him more. They did. The women, because the men there were not so many men that would get up there and sing, and they could sing. Robbie Hurt had a good voice. Is that an uncle of yours?
Distant cousin, second or third cousin.
Second cousin Robbie. He likes to sing, but not in the choir. But he sings when he's out there. I know, because he sings. At one time, at church, they got him to, when nobody was there, they got him to go in the sanctuary and sing for the choir director, but he would not. That was the line, not in the choir. He didn't like to get up there in front of people. Richard never did do any of that. But anyway, in our family, I think everybody had musical ability except Tiny. And I don't know why, but I guess they get things from their ancestors. Some aunt or uncle or somebody, didn't have it. And I think it might have been Mama's sister, Annie. Annie Laurie Birdwell. And so she was with us just a little while, stayed with us during the Depression, and went to San Antonio, got a job, and studied beautician work. And from there, she went on her own. Learned bookkeeping and got a job doing that. And met man she married, and she was all right. But all the women in Mama's family were all right up here to the waist, and then from there, they were just like that. Real pronounced, noticeable thing. But Mama wasn't that way so much, but Aunt Rudy and Aunt Annie were. But Uncle Judge was just a regular built individual, but Uncle Norman was short, the brother. He was short and he stocky looking, like Grandfather Birdwell. He was a short man too. You saw it in the picture.
Yeah, the picture.
Mustache, everything big. He was.
What about his parents?
His parents? That was Henry and Cynthia.
Birdwell. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where were they from?
I don't know. What did we say Cynthia's name was?
Chisholm Hill or something like that.
It was something very American, but Jill tried to claim that in her research she found Choctaw Indian somewhere back there in the Birdwell. Those were the Indians that formed over in southern states, built log cabins and all that, stayed in the same place. And this young Indian girl, pretty, and here's this old guy that he didn't care if she was Indian. It took a lot of nerve though, because the people were real silly about that sort of thing, and they liked the interracial thing. They a redskin, enemy. Well, but anyway, I don't know where she was, because Cynthia could have been, looking at her, she could have had Indian ancestry. But most everybody does.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, and they don't even realize it. Sam knew it. He knew that one of the McGinty that came from Ireland with the three brothers, and one came from Ireland, landed over here on the coast, and it was off over there in the Houston area, and he married an Indian girl. But they went to West Texas, but she'd help him load his shotgun when the Indians had come to fight him, as pioneers at that time, a long time ago. And it's amazing how it changed in this last century, the 20th century. It's like you shoot something out of a cannon. I mean, we didn't have a telephone when I was growing up. There were telephones. There was one at the store, and it was a wooden box, and you'd have to crank it, and then lift up this earpiece, and you'd talk to an operator and tell her you wanted to talk to somebody. You would name that person, and she would plug in in her switchboard and listen to what you had to say. And anybody need, get in touch with a doctor or somebody in another place, go to the store and make the call. There were no telephones in the homes out here at all, and no radios until the late 30s, I guess. And the first radio we had was a used one that some person bought from San Antonio, and the static was horrible, and you had to plug it in. We had the Stelco out there, and then they made, during the Second War, they made this transistor radio. And mine was like that big, and you know how they're so little now, you can just put it in your pocket. And that sort of thing took place in 60 years. That was, and the computer, it was invented in the 1800s. And the IBM got hold of it in 1910 in there somewhere, put it on the shelf. And in the 1960s, out to come. And here's a whole room full of and that was what the first computer was like in Europe in the 1800s. And it was room full of cabinets and all that kind of stuff. And now
it's real compact.
You can carry it. You can.
What y'all do for, I know y'all didn't have indoor plumbing.
No, we did, but the other places had an outdoor thing. We had one from when the house was first built, I guess, but we weren't. The only time we used it is when our plumbing wasn't working, or too many. We just had one bathroom, and if somebody was occupying that, we'd go out to the other, and it had 2 places to sit, and a little one. And we kept a bucket of ashes in there, and the cereal bucket.
A bucket of ashes?
Ashes, yes, you put the ashes in the hall.
Why?
Dump it in there to keep it from stinking.
Oh, just dump ashes like from firewood or something?
No. Yes, it came from the fireplace, and the stove was a wood stove. We had a wood stove in our kitchen. We didn't use gas or electricity. And it had a wood box on the corner, and our hot water heater stood up on a leg about this high, and it went up high, and it was iron, and it had water that was piped. It would come through the stove and get hot. And so on Saturday night, you'd be lucky if you got some hot water. But we'd put about this much in the tub to bathe in. If anybody got that much, well, that was going to shoot somebody else out of a warm bath. Saturday night, the other days, it was wash the feet, and sponge off with wash pan, and not in the bathtub. Particular, sometimes in the summer they bathe every night. Maybe in them, when they got older, and they didn't want to get the BO and stuff, and that was really a curse to humanity. Only the Negroes were supposed to do that, and they would be expected to smell like strange. But they didn't have running water either, and they had community hydrants. Poor guys couldn't help it. And they didn't have dial soap then, but boy, when that came out, we had really got the advertisements on that dial soap. It'd stop a bunch of that. But and our cosmetics are very simple, If a person got old, they got real. And we had a deodorant called Mum, a white pasty-looking stuff, cream, and it had a sickening sweet smell to it, and it was the main popular thing. It would really stop the BO sort of thing, and that was important. I mean, a lot of people had it. It was kind of expected to screw your nose up, and all of the different odors that people could come up with. It was kind of accepted, but Mexicans go around smelling like they'd been eating beans all the time, and they hadn't. But as a kind of accepted, and they would get these corn shucks and cut them and wind them around the tobacco and have the tobacco in a can, Prince Albert in a can, or in a little sack. A little cotton sack like this with a little string on top of it, have tobacco in there, and put it in their pocket, and they would have the chuck, and they would wind it around that and smoke it. And I guess that's where Jesse learned to smoke too. And he learned to smoke when he was a kid. And he did it heavy. I mean, he was so much that when he was in his middle years and a little later even then, all of his teeth were just yellow. But he liked the tobacco. Now, I didn't notice Maury taken to that kind of thing much. He was a little bit more, would you say, sophisticated or well-mannered? I don't know what it was about Maury, but he was smooth. He really didn't have to put on a bunch of pranks to be noticed. People liked him because he was always polite, and he was smart enough to not talk too much. And anyway, he was the last one, number 7, and that way Mama got to spend more time with him. And she taught me how to read before I went to school. So that's one reason I like school so much. And I always liked to color the picture. I love my color books. And then I got to where I would draw pictures while the school was going on. get the tablet out and draw a picture while the teacher's talking. And Joyce was next door watching me draw. And I'd draw them like the comic strips inside. Pretty good. A pretty dress. pretty girl.